I'm going to music special, and can't you tell that I feel swell? I'm gonna clap along and sing my favorite song, and all to listen music special. Hi everybody, welcome back. This is lesson number 22. Today we're going to learn about ties and slurs. We will write a song together. We'll learn about the cymbals. We'll play a game of high or low. And we'll play Guess What Instrument. So, let's get started. What instrument is that? Oh, what instrument is that? How does it sound? Where is it found? But first of all, you must tell me now, what instrument is that? The cymbals. Cymbals are thin, circular metal discs that may be struck together or suspended and hit with drumsticks, mallets, or brushes. Cymbals come in various sizes and types and are usually of indeterminate pitch, though some may be tuned to specific pitches. Cymbals add color and drama to music and are played in many musical genres, including classical, jazz, popular, military, and concert bands. Okay, so we learned what the cymbals look like and what they're made of here in the first sentence. We also learned how they're played, which is that they're struck together, meaning that you have one in each hand and you hit them together, like clapping. Or they can be suspended, which means that they're hanging, and when they're suspended, you hit them with some sort of a stick, a drumstick, mallet, or a brush. Those, of course, will make different sounds. They come in different sizes and types, and here it says that they're of indeterminate pitch, which means that they're not an F or a C. We couldn't write the note that they play on the musical staff anywhere. They just kind of make a big sound. Though some can have one of those pitches which you would write on the musical staff. And we learned also that it can be played in many different types of musical genres, and those are listed below. Now let's watch an interesting performance by a group of people playing the cymbals together. Now let's play Guess What Instrument. Guess what? Guess what? Guess what instrument? Guess what? Guess what? Guess what instrument is making that sound? On your screen is an English horn, a contrabassoon, and conga drums. Listen. That was an English horn. On your screen is a bagpipe, a baritone horn, and a woodblock. Listen. That was a baritone horn. On your screen is a recorder, an oboe, and a panpipe. Listen. That was a panpipe. Okay, let's talk about ties and slurs. Musical chat. All right, ties and slurs. A tie joins two notes of the same pitch by a curved line over or under the notes. Each note joined by a tie is held for its full value, but only the first note is played or sung. The tied note's value is added to the value of the first note. So we have two examples below. One is in 2/4 time, the other is in 3/4 time. The notes here are tied together. That's because we want one note to last more than where the measure break is. At the end of a measure, you can continue having a note play, but you need to use a tie to show that it ties in to the next measure. So let's look at these two examples. The first example in 2/4 time, we have an A, which is tied across two measures, so I'm going to play it. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So I held the note for that for 4 beats total. They were two half notes tied together. Now let's look at the next example. That's in 3/4 time. And if you are paying careful attention, you'll see that's not a treble clef there. That's a bass clef. We haven't learned the notes on the bass clef, and indeed we won't in elementary school, but I will just tell you that is an E in the bass clef. And we see that we have a dotted half note tied to a half note across that measure break, and then the third beat of the second measure is a rest. So I'm going to play it now. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And you heard that I left off the note for that rest. The tie should always be written on the opposite side from the note stems. So you see in the first example that the tie curves downward. That's because the stems of the note are pointing upward. In the second example, in the bass clef, because the stems of the note are pointing down, the tie is curved upward. Okay, good. Now let's talk about slurs. A slur smoothly connects two or more notes of different pitches by a curved line over or under the notes. There's no break in sound between pitches. This is also referred to as legato playing or singing. And then there's this American folk song as an example, Orally. It's in 4/4 time, and there's the treble clef, so no surprises there. Let me play it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe you've heard that song before. So that time that I played it, I did not really put in much of a slur, that long curved line at the end of the song. I'm going to make it a little more obvious this time by using the pedal on my piano. If you go up to a piano, maybe you've wondered before, what are those pedals down there? This is the pedal all the way to the right. And when you hold it down with your foot, it blends the notes together, which is exactly what we're trying to do with a slur. So let me play it this time with the slur. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe I laid the slur on a little too heavily there at the beginning. It's kind of a matter of opinion and artistry. How much of a slur should you put in there? Should it be... Well, that sounds too messy, so we have to back it off a little bit. Maybe something a little more like that. How can you tell the difference between a tie and a slur? Well, one thing, a tie will always be just one note tied together, and a slur will usually be more than one individual note. It will be a series of different notes. Like in this example orally, C, B, A, B, C. Now the instruments below are just examples of how you would place slurs on those instruments. On wind instruments, only the first note of a group of slurred notes should be tongued. So if you're playing an instrument like the trumpet, you use your tongue to make the difference heard between notes. But if you're playing a slur, you don't use your tongue in the same way. On string instruments, a slur indicates a group of notes to be played in one bow. So rather than making the bow on the violin go up and down to play different notes, all of them would be played with an upstroke or a downstroke. And you see that on keyboard instruments, slurs indicate when to lift the hands. So you don't actually need to use the pedal. You can simply use your fingers and the way your hand moves to make slurs on the piano as well. Okay, thank you for paying attention. Now let's write a song together. Okay, I've written a short song up here. You can see that it's in 4/4 time. I've put in a slur over this first run of notes. And I've put a tie right here. There's 3 measures total. Each of them contains 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then this note will be tied into the 1 here. 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's play it. 1, 2, ready, go. Good. It's time for high or low. Here's note number 1. Note number 2. Note number 2 was lower. Note number 1. Note number 2. Note number 2 was higher. Note number 1. Note number 2. Note number 2 was lower. Note number 1. Note number 2. Note number 2 was lower. Let's just play one more time. Note number 1. Note number 2. Note number 2 was higher. Thank you for playing. Well, thank you for coming again and for paying attention, and I will see you next time. Bye. Well, I'm going to music special, and can't you tell that